Imagine being thrown into a cold cell while the world celebrates Christmas, all because you try to be a hero. This is the mystery of Queen Naomi. From the darkness of a cell in 2024 to the glamorous stage of a global award in 2026, how did she survive the Ibadan Stampede scandal that almost buried her name? Is this award a sign of true innocence, or is there more to the story than meets the eye? Before we dive in, answer this. Can a person truly rise from the ashes of a tragedy that claimed lives, or is the past always waiting to pull them back down? A moment of prayer. Before we start, I pray for everyone watching. May every false accusation against your name turn into a public celebration, and may those waiting for your fall witness your rising. Amen. Welcome to Crown Gist. If you love the realest updates and deepest stories, you are in the right place. Subscribe now and join the family so you never miss a beat. The atmosphere in the land of the Golden Crown has always been one of mystery, power, and deep-seated tradition. But lately, the air has been thick with something else, something that feels like a mixture of tension and divine turnaround. At the center of this whirlwind is Queen Naomi. To understand the weight of the award she just received, we must first go back to the darkest night of her soul, a time when it seemed like the sun would never rise on her life again. It was the tail end of 2024. While families were decorating their homes and planning for the festivities, Queen Naomi was driven by a different kind of fire. She has always been a woman of deep faith and even deeper compassion. She didn't want to just sit in her palace or her comfortable home. She wanted to be where the pain was. She headed to Ibadan with a singular mission: to give the children there a sense of belonging, to clothe them, feed them, and let them know that they are not forgotten by the world. But as my Crown Gist friends and families know, sometimes the road to hell is paved with good intentions. The event started with smiles and songs. Hundreds of children gathered, their eyes bright with the hope of receiving gifts from the Queen. But then the unthinkable happened. In a split second, the joy turned into a nightmare. A surge in the crowd, a push from the back, and suddenly there was a massive stampede. The screams of children replaced the music. When the dust finally settled, the land of the Golden Crown and the entire nation received the shock of their lives. Many children had lost their lives in the chaos. The backlash was instant. The world did not care about her intentions. They only saw the results. The authorities moved swiftly. Queen Naomi, the woman who went to give life, was arrested. She was taken from the bright lights of her ministry and charity work and pushed into the cold grey walls of detention. Can you imagine the trauma? Spending the entire Christmas and New Year period in his cell, listening to the echoes of the world outside celebrating, while you are surrounded by the silence of a prison. This was the woman who once walked the halls of power with the Golden King. Now she was a guest of the state under the most painful circumstances. During those days in detention, the rumors were flying. People asked, where were the elders of the land of the Golden Crown? Why did the Golden King not intervene? The weight of the tragedy was so heavy that even her most loyal supporters started to whisper in fear. Many thought this was the end of her influence. They thought the Ibadan incident would be the permanent stain on her white garment. But inside that cell, something was happening. Queen Naomi wasn't just sitting in self-pity. She was leaning on a strength that many do not understand. She was facing the ultimate test of her resilience. While her enemies were already writing her obituary on social media, she was quiet, waiting for her vindication that only the heavens could provide. Fast forward to this moment in 2026. The scene is completely different. The darkness of the cell has been replaced by the golden glow of a prestigious hall. The Felix Adejumo Foundation, led by the legendary Pastor Funke, stepped forward to do that which many feared to do. They didn't just look at the tragedy of the past, they looked at the heart of the woman who survived it. They recognized her not just for her beauty or her past titles, but for her ability to rise above adversity. They saw a woman who was crushed but refused to break. This award wasn't just a piece of plaque. It was a loud message to the world that Queen Naomi is back and she is stronger than ever. But as she stood on that stage, tears in her eyes, one could only wonder what really happened behind the scenes during those months of silence. Who were the people who stood by her, and who were the ones who secretly celebrated her downfall? The journey from the prison floor to the podium of honor is a long one, filled with secrets that are only beginning to come to light. As Queen Naomi stood on that stage, clutching the award from the Felix Adejimo Foundation, the silence in the room was heavy. You could hear a pin drop. Many people looking at her saw a woman of grace, but only those close to her knew the deep scars she was hiding under her expensive lace. My Crown Gist friends and families, you need to understand that this honor didn't just fall from the sky. It was a calculated move by the heavens to answer the questions that had been burning in the hearts of the people since the land of the Golden Crown was rocked by scandal. The relationship between Queen Naomi and the foundation isn't just about charity. It's about a sisterhood of resilience. Pastor Funke Felix Adejimo, a woman known for her wisdom and power, didn't choose to honor Naomi by accident. She saw a woman who had been dragged through the mud, a woman who had been mocked by her peers, and a woman who had been abandoned by many who once bowed before her. Let's talk about the days leading up to this moment. After she was released from that cold detention in 2024, Queen Naomi didn't come out shouting. She didn't go on a press tour to defend herself. Instead, she went into a season of secret silence. In the land of the Golden Crown, silence is often seen as a sign of weakness, but for Naomi, it was her greatest weapon. She retreated to her private space, far away from the prying eyes of you-know-who and other social media commentators who were waiting for her to slip up. During this period, rumors started to swirl that her influence had dried up. People said she would never be invited to high-table events again. They whispered that the tragedy in Ibadan had permanently disconnected her from the grace she once carried. But while men were talking, the elders of the land of the Golden Crown were watching from a distance. They saw how she handled the pain. She didn't lash out at the authorities. She didn't blame the Golden King for not using his power to pull her out of the cell sooner. She simply waited. Then came the invitation that changed everything. The Felix Adejimo Foundation is not an organization you can lobby for an award. They are dedicated to restoring dignity to women who have lost it through the trials of life. When they reached out to Queen Naomi, it was like a healing balm on an open wound. The day of the ceremony was filled with tension. People were wondering, will she show up? How will she look? Will she mention the children who died in the stampede? When she finally walked into the hall, the atmosphere shifted. She didn't walk in like a victim. She walked in with the gait of a woman who had seen the bottom of the pit and survived it. When she mounted the podium, she spoke about the fulfillment of being recognized by people who truly see you. She mentioned how sometimes you think you are working in your own small corner, suffering in silence, thinking the world has forgotten your sacrifices, only for God to move through people to pour you into the light. She was overwhelmed with joy, not just because of the plaque in her hand, but because of the vindication it represented. But you see, every time light shines, shadows start to move. As Queen Naomi was being celebrated, certain figures in the background were not happy. There are those who feel that the Ibadan incident was not her fault, but there are others who believe she should have been banned from public life forever. Some started asking questions. Was this award a way of washing her clean? Is there a deeper connection between the palace and this foundation that we don't know about? Even Olorishado and others in the inner circles began to take note. The power dynamics were shifting. A woman they thought was finished was now being toasted by the most influential philanthropist in the country. The resilience they were celebrating in her was the very thing her enemies feared, because a woman who can survive a prison cell during Christmas and still come out smiling is a woman you cannot easily defeat. As she finished her speech, the applause was thunderous. But far away in the quiet corners of the land of the Golden Crown, certain people were already planning their next move. They knew that if Naomi continued on this path of public restoration, her influence might soon rival even the highest authorities in the land. The award was a victory, yes, but it was also a declaration of war against those who wanted her buried in the ruins of 2024. The celebration continued late into the night, but the look in Naomi's eyes told a different story. It was a look of someone who knew that the higher you go, the stronger the wind blows. She had survived the stampede, she had survived the stell, and could she survive the new wave of envy that this award was about to trigger?
The ripple effect of that award ceremony hit the land of the Golden Crown like a massive wave. You see, my Crown Gist friends and families, in the world of high society and ancient traditions, an award is never just a piece of wood and glass. It is a spiritual and political statement. By honoring Queen Naomi, Pastor Funke Felix Adejumo was essentially telling the world, this woman is clean and we stand by her. But while the celebration was loud in the city, there was a different kind of vibration happening within the walls of power. The Golden King sat in his palace, hearing the echoes of the praise being showered on his former queen. In the tradition of our people, when a woman who was once part of the royal household begins to gain this kind of international and spiritual momentum, it creates a shift in the balance. Behind the scenes, the elders of the land of the Golden Crown were holding private meetings. Some of them were nodding in approval, saying that Naomi's rising actually brings honor back to the land. They argued that her resilience is a reflection of the strength of a woman who has been refined by fire. But others were not so kind. They whispered about the Ibadan incident in dark corners, wondering if the blood of the innocent children lost in the stampede had truly been settled. They wondered if it was too soon for her to be smiling on national television. Among those watching closely was TikTok Olori. You know how the internet works. Once you start rising, people start digging. Old videos started resurfacing and the comment sections became a battlefield. Some were calling her the mother of the nation, while others were typing harsh words, reminding everyone of the 2024 detention. The pressure was mounting. Queen Naomi, however, was now moving with a new kind of wisdom. She didn't let the noise of the market distract her from her prayers. It is said that during this period, she sought the counsel of Dr. Elizabeth, a woman of high standing and deep intellect. They spent hours discussing the future. Naomi knew that the award was just the beginning of a new phase. She wasn't just the queen who left the palace anymore. She was becoming a global icon of hope. The intensity of the situation grew when news leaked that a group of women, inspired by the Felix Adejumo Foundation, were planning a massive vindication march to support Naomi. This moved the gist from just a social media talk to a real-world movement. People started asking, is Naomi preparing for something bigger? Is she planning to launch a foundation that would rival the most powerful ones in the land? Even Olori Shadm was reportedly seen in deep conversation with certain palace insiders. The fear was simple. If Naomi continues to win the hearts of the common people and the respect of the religious elite, she would become untouchable. For someone who had been through the wahala of a police cell, her current trajectory was nothing short of a miracle. But as we know in the land of the Golden Crown, when the sun is at its brightest, that is when the clouds gather. A new mystery began to emerge. Rumors started to circulate about a hidden document or a secret witness from the Ibadan stampede who was allegedly ready to speak. The timing was too perfect. Just as she was receiving her flowers, someone was trying to plant thorns in her path. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Queen Naomi remained graceful, but those who saw her in private said she spent more time on her knees than on her feet. She knew that the battle wasn't against flesh and blood, but against spirits that didn't want to see a woman's dignity restored. The award had given her a platform, but it also made her a bigger target. The question on everyone's lips was, who is behind the new attempt to bring up the 2024 tragedy? Is it a jealous rival, or is it someone from her past who isn't ready to see her fly? The drama was no longer just about a charity event. It had become a fight for the soul and the future of Queen Naomi.
The atmosphere in the land of the Golden Crown has reached a boiling point. As the news of the award continues to spread, it has triggered a chain reaction that no one saw coming. While Queen Naomi is busy using her new platform to spread a message of hope and resilience, the whispers in the dark have turned into loud shouts. My ground gist friends and families, you need to understand that in this life, when God prepares a table for you in the presence of your enemies, those enemies don't just sit down and watch you eat. They try to break the table. The latest buzz circulating to the grapevine suggests that the Ibadan incident files are being dusted off. There are talk that certain figures are looking closely at the events of that fateful Christmas in 2024. Why now? Why after 2 years of silence and after a prestigious foundation has cleared her name with an award are these issues resurfacing? The timing is suspicious and it has led many to believe that there is a high-level plot to dim her shining light. Even more shocking are the rumors involving Olori Shadow and TikTok Olori. Social media has been on fire with claims that a secret meeting was held to discuss how to balance the narrative. They say that while the world is celebrating Naomi, some people are working hard to remind the public of her adversity. They want to make sure the world doesn't forget the tears, even as she celebrates her joy. We are also hearing whispers about the elders of the land of the Golden Crown. It's alleged that some of these elders are divided. A few are happy for her, seeing her as a daughter who has brought pride to the land despite her exit from the palace. But others are allegedly worried that her emerging influence might overshadow the traditional structures of the land of the Golden Crown. They see her award not just as a personal victory, but as a political threat. As Queen Naomi continues to move with grace, supported by the likes of Dr. Elizabeth and the mentorship of Pastor Funke, she remains the eye of the storm. She recently spoke out, saying that she sees God's hand in everything, the detention, the tears, and now the trophies. She believes she's being vindicated. But the question remains, is the world ready to let her be fully free? Or will the shadows of 2024 continue to haunt her every step? My dear Crown Gist friends and families, as we follow this developing story, we must tread carefully. It is very important to state that all these details, the secret meetings, the hidden documents, and the plots by rivals are unverified information and rumors making the rounds on social media. These are alleged reports and should not be taken as factual evidence or the absolute truth yet. They are the talks of the town, the gist that is flying from one corner of the internet to the other. Whether these are just the inventions of jealous people or a hidden reality, only time will tell. For now, we celebrate the fact that a woman has survived a great trial and has been recognized for her strength. But we keep our eyes open, because in the land of the Golden Crown, the story never truly ends, it only changes shape.